allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, the audience introductions.
Steve with HMK.
So approval of agenda. Let's move, if we could, F, the audit update, up closer to the top. I don't know if we're going to make it A or B, but that way we can let you take on. Okay.
Make it A.
Okay. And then we'll just move everything down one.
Well, if we want, we can just have it as a bullet in there since it's an update too, if that works.
It does. And then cross off
Okay.
F.
Oh, for, yeah. We call that an update.
Yeah.
Move to approve the agenda with noted change.
Second.
Moved and seconded, and further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. All right. Item 3, delegation of visitors. We don't have any signups, no? Okay. All right, so 4, items of information for the board, updates. So do you want to kick it off?
Sure.
Okay.
Either you got an email, there are some printed packets of the audit. Came through on December 26th, 27th-ish, was submitted to all of the people it needed to be submitted to before the deadline, which I was very happy with because there are a lot of districts that did not get theirs, and I think some that still haven't had to get extensions. So, yeah. We
What's
had
the date? Is it supposed to be done by?
January 1st. It was the second this year because of the holiday, but it was an unmodified opinion, which is the highest opinion that an audit gets. So
Well, that's one of my questions. So it says
unmodified is the highest.
what
The
are
best.
What are the others?
I think it's just modified or unmodified. So a modified opinion would have like things that you need to do and that they'll be watching for.
You really messed up. You should have said there were like 5 categories on there.
Those are the only
She
2
would have
I've
known the
heard.
difference.
So there may be
She
other
may
ones.
have.
Those are the only ones I've heard. So there may be other ones, but
Audit finding material.
I looked for page 34 and I'm like, no, nothing happened.
Okay, good. We're good. What page?
34.
Yeah, the last.
I mean, past basis,
Really? That makes it easy.
so 29. Yeah.
There's an argument. Keep it.
Let's not do that again.
And
I'm not vying for either way
Yeah.
here.
It'll
I'm
work
just
either way.
saying that there's a difference.
And can you tell us about the SIA? And the other question I had, I just was expecting a totally separate report, right? And there isn't one?
this is all they sent to me.
$1,800. We don't get anything else.
They blurb it in
They blurred it.
That's our 1,800.
Okay.
It could mean that they're doing their spot checks in different areas, or they're looking through that a little bit more meticulously, but it may not be a big point in the audit report. Say $1,800 seems pretty good.
Oh, it does?
Well, just for that, yeah, just for the SIA part.
Oh, that's all of
That's
us for that
because-
part. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. I was like, for the whole thing? It's like,
No.
But I would be happy to find out.
No,
I can contact the people at ODE that do the SIA to find out like what it is that they were wanting
because didn't you have to send in more documents?
There was one document, remember I had to check off some stuff.
That was
That was it.
just us saying yes, they're going to.
Yeah.
We have that here's how much the audit costs, and this is how much, in addition to that, the SIA costs. But as far as SIA information, from what I sent in, I just sent them everything. I didn't have to separate out anything for SIA. So unless they pulled it from that, or if it was something that Lorraine sent them prior to.
The requirements are for municipal auditors to, in accordance with minimum standards, consider SIA funding as part of the programs funded from outside sources or other comments and disclosures. Auditors should comment on any non-compliance in the minimum standards report required by Oregon State regulation or a letter to management. Provide a copy of the minimum standards report or management letter to the governing board along with completed financial audit before submitting to Secretary of State. So there's like a checklist for monitoring and reporting for the municipal auditors. That, I mean, maybe this might ask them for their, if their audit objectives in their what they audited, so you can have it for your
Okay.
record.
That's exactly where I thought it would be, was the supplemental, and there's nothing.
Did they mention it somewhere? Did they?
There's like one sentence.
Yeah, it's not much.
Um,
I'm just surprised it wasn't part of it.
If you want, or I just Googled SIA.
Okay.
Oregon SIA.
Perfect.
Grant audit requirements. I
Okay.
think. And it's an ODE doc.
I guess I could have done that too.
Well, I'll reach out and see if there's something in addition that they can send, or if they did something else. This is just everything that they sent.
And you know how they always generically say that this audit is for the board of directors, right? What do we do with this audit? Like, is it ever used for anything?
Yeah, it's building.
That is page 34. I think that's really what it's for.
Well, they'll use it when it isn't. We'll go back and look and see if there's anything that was.
I had to look at an old one for my class. I had to know where to find it.
You didn't know where to find
I had
it.
to know where to find it.
Okay.
I
just always hold on to them every year and have them in the filing cabinet at home because it says it's specifically for the board. And it makes you feel like,
for record that it was done. And then my email may have been a little bit confusing for the RFP. I've been gathering information. I do want to put out an RFP. So I had a zone. The business managers and like the state is divided up into different zones, and we have monthly meetings. So it's like kind of our region. And I was on one early last week, and we talked a lot about auditors, and lots of people are looking for new ones for various reasons. Some are being like, they're just not being renewed by their auditor. They just don't like their auditor. And then one district, and I can't remember which one it is, I'm going to send out a group, but they put out an RFP and got 0 response. So,
That was someone from our region.
and that's someone from the zone that I'm in, so like our region.
I think our region uses Holy Rockers.
A lot of them do. A lot of them
So when I
use
was
this one.
for Mueller and Swank, we did a lot of school districts too. So that's
Yeah.
probably one.
And I did hear of another one from a business manager that I've known for a long time, that she's now retired, but the one that they used, and she gave me the co-owner's name and the company, and she really liked them, and they were really great to work with. And I have heard their name from a few other people in the zone also. So it's kind of like that company and Polly Rogers are the two that most people use. So
and Polly Rogers always says, like, I went back and looked at some of the other audits. They're always like, gotta be non-biased. We can't. I just feel like they're not really engaged. You would think the auditor would help us. I mean, I guess we're doing fine, right? Looks
But
like
I really felt that way, that it was just another thing that they had to do, and kind of like figure out your answers to the questions. I can't help you.
Yeah,
So-
when we have somebody that's a newer business manager, we want them to help. you
And
know,
even, the one that she worked for 20 years, who's now retired, she was always asking. She said not even during audit time, anytime she had a question, she was able to call in them and get answers and get help with things. So I feel like that's a good relationship to have, and I'm worried that there aren't going to be very many to choose from, but I am still going to. Dallas has sent out to our group like a copy of their RFP, so we're going to take a look at that and change it to how we need it and get that going. So
could we make it a goal to do that by our next board meeting? Is
Have
that
the
too fast?
RFP ready?
Mhm.
No, because we want to get somebody online for the next session there, so I think that would be,
is
Why
that
is it
right?
due?
I'm new to the whole RFP process, so that timeline is fine. That's enough time.
the only thing I don't know, and Steve actually may know, because where we did it for theirs, but Daily Journal Commerce is where we had put the ones for the bus company RFP and for construction stuff and for when we got HMK. So I'm assuming that's maybe the same place we would
And I can ask
look to
some
do it.
other,
And I was gonna say,
yeah.
I'm sure your
where they put it
folks can help you out with
And when
that
we
as well.
have an RFP posted, you can go to those other places that you're
and
interested in.
tell
ask
them that we
Ask them
have
to
that.
please.
It's open for everybody so they can do it.
At least if we put out the RFP soon, we'll know if we have any choices or if we're just gonna stay near with what we.
Especially with some other samples for business manager ones, for auditor. It wouldn't take very long. We'd have to modify it a little bit for our information, but we could probably have that done in a couple of weeks. So
I mean, if
Put
we
that out.
don't, just talk
We
to
would
the
have
board
to-
chair and don't put it on the.
we won't have the names back by then probably because a month would be too short by the time you get it written and sent to them and they post it. Because they post twice a week, I believe.
Oh, no, I meant like by the next board meeting, maybe be able to
Okay,
post it. Send, like that would be a goal date.
that's doable.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Cindy before she heads out? No?
Hey,
Thanks for being here, Cindy.
thank you.
Okay, HMK, Cindy.
I don't know if you've all been over there today or just recently, but we've got, depending on what room we walk into, we've got drywall finishing going on, painting, ceiling grid, cabinets. Just every stage of construction is happening over there. So I thought I'd do is just kind of give you an idea, give you a 3-week look ahead where we expect to be in 3 weeks. And I'll just go through each room. Actually, the breakout room right now, which is in framing.
Want that?
No,
Okay.
which is in framing and where the factory built units are going to tie into. And this is by the end of the week of February 6th. We'll have drywall hung. It'll be painted. We'll have the ceiling grid and lighting. So it'll go from framing to, basically finished, over the next 3 weeks. Similar on the sped resource room, the lighting, ceiling tiles and flooring will be going down in there. The kindergarten, grid ceiling, flooring, pendant lighting is still on order. So that's going to run a little bit later for the pendant lighting, which is, we're expecting that to come in on February 10th or be installed on February 10th. Then the staff lounge and first grade flooring, and same thing with pendant lighting in that room also. And then as Dan was just sharing, the factory built units will be set, so we'll be in process of roofing, siding, and finishing the interior there. For the classroom completion, that's going to be happening between February 15th and March 13th. And so during that time, we'll generate a punch list with the architect, probably Dan and Troy, walk through, generate our punch list. We'll be getting our final county inspections, and then just going through and just completing the punch list and just bringing it through to final completion.
Will Joanne be able to be here for that?
Yeah,
She's
yeah,
really
the
good at that.
architect. Yeah,
She's really good
yeah,
at
she's
that
got
punch
it. Yeah,
list,
she is. She's got to be here for that. So it's getting close. I mean, it's pretty exciting. Next 3 weeks, going to see some really big changes over there, getting really close to finish. So can't wait. Huge classrooms, amazing space over there.
Yeah, it's a lot better.
Yeah. So anyway, it's any questions? That's kind of where we're at. Okay.
And again, if I know those of you saw it last week, but if anybody else wants, Trina, if you want to do it again, I don't know when the last time you were able to go through it. But I think she has side conversations with Kyle sometimes. She needs something extra people. But anyway, if anybody else wants to, I know it's only been a week for us, so we can do that afterwards.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move to B report, superintendent report.
Right, so back to school after the break is seen as bumps and bruises with illness, as I talked about earlier, but otherwise progressing well. We have some high school career and college visits with juniors and seniors to both Chemeketa and Woo. The one with Woo, we have going to health occupation, so we're doing some cadaver stuff. With both our forensic class, it looks like, in anatomy and physiology. Mr. Ferguson and I were both talking today about that and trying to pair it up with something else there at Woo with science. So we're looking for that, but for sure we have the cadaver item
Do
visit
you
going
know
on.
if we're going to replace the one we lost at Oregon State University? Because they went to Chemeketa twice instead of OSU.
Yeah, so I know that we have another one going down. I'll have to look at where that one's going that day. April was working on that one.
Okay.
So maybe OSU or Woo for both, for everybody. But I'll have a chance to talk to
It'd
them,
be nice if we could replace that since we lost it.
well, especially when we're close by. So we definitely try to do that. Some places are still, and I'm not saying OSU is one, but some places are still having a hard time having them connect with us. We're not sure if it's employees or COVID or a combination, but we have run into a few roadblocks with that still, which was surprising to us. Rock was talking about that today as well. So, what's that?
Communication.
Yeah, just us going to visit other places or work with them. Again, not saying what Oregon State was one, just saying that was surprising for me to hear that when they were working. I don't know if maybe he was trying to do that Linfield or where it was, but he was saying that he was turned down a little bit, and April was too. So I hadn't heard that until today. Anyway, these are geared to a multitude of career opportunities, including the one the other day that went to both of the sections at Chemeketa. So they did, again, the one in Yamhill and then over at Brooks. So that was criminal justice, fire science, construction, health sciences, and even truck driving. The focus is on careers with living wage and high demand positions. And then, as things open back up for our students, we can go ahead and do that with a variety of options, which is great. So semester's coming to a close on the 26th. We have a little activity. Please don't tell your high schoolers. We'll try to surprise them a little bit tomorrow, but we have a little activity day. We have some students that are on the probation list that we want them to make sure they're trying to finish up their work before the end of the quarter. So we have a couple hours where we're going to do some ice cream sundaes and some bingo and trivia and some prizes and do that. So for the students that don't have to work on some of that, we'll do some activities for them. And everybody will get some ice cream.
Oh, that
And,
tomorrow's ice cream isn't for the popcorn winners.
Well, I think they bought enough for both. So the popcorn winners have theirs. But then, did Christy already do that? Okay. But Christy was
I
what?
didn't get invited. I thought it was tomorrow. I was gonna come up serve.
You can during fifth period tomorrow. That's great. I'm doing bingo. So, but anyway, we wanted to do a little something. The high school staff, we talked about it last week and just said, let's do something kind of cool for the kids. And they thought this would be a good opportunity. And I'm glad that we're doing it. So we just didn't want to tell a bunch of kids because it tends to be when we try to do something like that and they know ahead of time, we're like, Mom, Dad, we're not doing anything.
Then
And so they
stay
try
home.
not to show up, or they go home early. They go, I'm going to lunch. So we're excited about doing something like that. We had some a Friday study this last week. A handful of kids came and worked with Ms. Shore on that. Good luck to all of them as they finish up their coursework. And their ag program was awarded a $3,000 grant from Oregon FFA and Wilco in order to raise chickens here at school. And our advisor also, her dad has some bottle calves, so she's going to bring them in and work with them out in the barn a little bit over the next couple of months. So that's great that we're having the animals on campus. We're happy about that and getting some kids some opportunities. So and it's not just a barn full of pigs like it was back in the day down at Dean Road. What's that?
Well, you know me, I've got 36 chickens.
Yeah.
I'm just a little excited.
Well, we're putting it at your house.
No.
That's a
That
lot.
was That's a lot more money.
Hey, start selling eggs, make some big
There
money.
you go.
There you go. I taught over in Africa one time. I won't try to tangent too much, but I taught over in Africa for a summer, and the lady stopped teaching to go sell eggs in West Africa because she made more money selling eggs than being a teacher there. Sad. But I think that's the first time we're going to have a sustained program with animals on our campus that I can remember. I mean, we have animals visit and stuff, but I think it's the first time. So it's pretty exciting for us to be able to have that. I appreciate Mrs. Hanson and her doing that work. So
Yes.
she's been
Really great.
really great person to work with, always very personable, smiling, happy. And, her time and what she does, you wouldn't realize that she has 3 kids and one of them is a newborn.
Right.
So pretty great. And then I have the elementary one. Short report due to winter break. Elementary band, and this will be part of the spotlight here in a minute. 12 4th and 5th graders have joined a new band, and then we want to eventually phase it into middle school and then high school. So starting off there, but to have 12 kids, kudos to Misty. She came and had this vision and said, we really need this. And she's coming up close to being retired, and she wants us to have a sustained program as she's getting ready to head out into the sunset. So, that would be a little while longer. I'm not exactly sure when on that, but
Was this supposed to be trumpets?
yeah, not trumps. I mean, they could have trumps, I guess, but
I just figured.
yeah, it'd be trumpets. Must have auto-corrected.
Yeah.
But yes, so trumpets, flutes, clarinets, people could play a tuba if they wanted to, but, most of the kids chose these. And Misty has a really good relationship with a couple of different music stores over in Salem and Kaiser who have been very helpful with this, especially the one out in Kaiser with the music and letting kids, work with the instruments here on campus. They came twice to our school to let kids and families work with them. It sounded a little bit like Wounded Animals in that gym that day,
Yeah.
but Erin was thankful her office isn't up on the stage anymore.
I was gonna say, no, no, so you know what? Are you purchasing?
So the students,
They're
either
separate.
they rent them or, yeah. But if anybody has an issue with being able to pay for that, like all music people, Misty has just a plethora of instruments. So, she's been able to make sure every kid has an instrument. So, and if we had any issues, we'd take care of it somehow. So, yeah, it's a neat deal. And hopefully down the road, we'll have a larger group that, it may be that we add band permanently to record. It's tough. I know you and I have talked about it before, the offerings. With your small school, you like the small, but you want to be able to offer stuff. And our art really consists of, one art period, one choir, which we didn't really have this year, and which did really well last year though. And now we're trying to add band and trying to get at least a few options for kids to be able to have those arts. It would be really good. So kudos to Misty and the 4th and 5th grade teachers for working together to come up with a time first thing in the morning. And Miss Hanson is actually the band room this year. And so she has, since Misty's up on the stage right now, band is in our ag program room for the first 30 minutes of the day. Yes, she must. But it's actually really close to Cindy and mine's office, so we're
Yeah,
able to hear it in
yeah.
the morning.
Teaming up with violin.
No, I'm
No?
far away.
Oh, okay.
The middle school students seem to really enjoy middle school shop, working with Mr. Ford and Miss Hanson. They're finishing up the step stools that they began building before Food for All began. So since Food for All was said, that 400,000 pounds of food. So that was a new goal or a new record, I guess, on it always ends up being somewhere in that 350 to 400,000, but it was over 400,000 pounds again this year. So
Are they
really remarkable.
making the step stools to sell or for fair?
I think
or do
some
we
may
know?
just be for fair or they're to keep. I'm not exactly sure if they're doing it just for fair. But I haven't seen any up for sale yet. So
I was curious.
yeah, so am I because they're in the shop. So I'm not sure what they're going to do at all. So I don't see too many out there. So that was it for the reports.
Okay, thank you.
Right.
Special education.
All right, short report due to winter break. We're in the middle of some speech evaluations. And then we have two new staff members. And we've got 31 kiddos right now. Special ed. There are more on 504s.
Are you getting super anxious to when you're in space?
Yes.
Yeah, that-
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
I took our new hire, like I did the tour and then I was like, okay, but we have to go over here and see this.
Good.
Super exciting.
So close.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Facilities reports. Any questions on that?
Troy's been busy,
Oh my
Yes, he
gosh.
has.
always.
He was busting his chops. And Jared and Jaime right there with him. I mean,
It looks like a good crew.
it really is. It's amazing. And just really right before you got here, I said, "Oh, Jaime, no Jared." Or Jared say, "I'm right here."
Yeah.
You know,
I
down
saw
the
when
hall,
I
he's
walked
working. Yeah, they've been busting their chops. Very impressed.
Well, they pulled up on the flooring.
And
Right?
they're working a different swing shift or graveyard in order to buff out the floor in order to get it ready for the flooring for when it's coming in. Anything that they can do to try to save some cash here and there on the project they're doing. So it's
And I appreciated that he put in his report that continuing to clean up for Food for All. Because you know how it always lingers? There's, at least
I
they
think
do
there
it.
was a second reason for that probably too.
I don't want to.
Yep. we're
Well, no,
just-
just so you folks see, that
Oh.
it's a continuing process that he does. So some of the fermented fruit a couple of years ago stripped the finish in the
Right.
shed out there.
Right.
And so he just wants to make sure you take care of it. We had a couple of students that volunteered their time with me on Friday last week, and they got a chance to clean up some stuff outside too. It was really nice of them to volunteer.
Oh, that's good.
It wasn't a real fun time, probably, but it was good though. We thank them for their time today.
Okay. I do worry with all that stuff hanging out there that
Yeah.
rats and mice.
No, it was all over that.
I appreciate it. I saw it. I noted. Tell me.
We've had Hutch out here twice to help clean up in the last 2 weeks, so in January.
Wow.
So yes, it's good.
All right.
I will let him know that.
You see Spotlight on Education.
So we have two items. One we just talked about with the band. Again, just giving the kids the opportunity and how much they've just flew with it. And they were sending pictures, parents were sending pictures to Ms. Matthews when they were trying the instrument or if they picked it out. And so we had one young lady in 4th grade who sent the picture and just was all smiles. I mean, it was fantastic. So really happy they're doing it. Yeah, just great. I think it's a pretty even split between 4th and 5th grade. And if we can get about 5 or 6 kids in each class looking to do that, that's really going to help build the program down the road. Our goal is to at least have 5th grade still involved next year and then offer that with the middle school as well. And so we may, have 3 or 4 grades, but we may still be able to do the 4th grade around the schedule with it. So pretty great. This next one's not nearly as fun because it's a year-end report. and they want us to read it word for word. So the questions there and the answers. Unless anybody else wants to volunteer, I'll go ahead and do it. So it just says the number one there, what changes in behavior, actions, policies, or practices have you observed related to SA implementation? It was for last school year, but it actually ended on September 30th because everybody got an extension if they needed it for summer programs. So how do you see these changes contributing to goals and the outcomes in your SIA plan? So our last quarter for reporting was more successful with staffing and led to much more consistency with our students in math. If you remember, McKenna ended up switching over to the ag program, and we had some movement with Alex in the middle school. And as a result, we ended up with a change in math help last year. So now we have Julia in that program. So anyway, solidified, as we head in this school year, we feel we have some solidified practices and time dedicated to fully implement our vision for structure to increase the quantity and quality of our math practices. This focus in reviewing our year-end data has also led to our district leadership team to identify math practices as one of our main goals over the next few years. Our DLT has also shared these goals with our school board, and the board has expressed support for these initiatives. So this was written before, like during Thanksgiving break time when we submitted for the final one. So our educational assistants were definitely a highlight for our 21-22 school year, with their invaluable support in the classroom all year long, their work with small groups and individual students during PLA and math. And that was the first because we were actually able to have a dedicated assistant for math, helping students out, like with Mrs. Rudsager, so more targeted support. That allowed us to utilize additional instructional practices we have struggled to consistently be able to use the past few years due to fewer staff. We have 2 high school staff members and some students who are excited about the opportunity with the SIA, with the CTE lab. This new space will provide us the opportunity to offer health occupations, food science, culinary, and business classes we've not been able to offer to our students before. As a small school, we want to have the small school environment, but still offer our students these types of courses, which they not only want to take, but also lead to careers, not just jobs in the future. So number 2, what barriers or challenges to SIA implementation have you experienced that are helpful for your community and or state leaders to be aware of? What adjustments, if any, did you make to your SIA plan as a result of these challenges? So staffing and space usage during this last year was a significant barrier for us. In addition to the pace of the construction calendar and inflationary costs with that part of the SIA with the lab area, I've been staggering as far as the price of things. The lack of space for educational assistants to work with small groups led to us consolidating office spaces and creating additional storage spaces. This allowed us to have more spaces freed up for students to use throughout the school day for ELA and math interventions. There's not much we could do with this construction pace and inflation. Our builders have worked with us, or well with us on value engineering and trying to stay on target with the dates. And I think Kyle's done a great job. I think Gertie's right on top of it. So appreciate that. Lastly, during this last reporting quarter, we hired a licensed, well, that was at the end of last school year. Hired a last math specialist for the 22-23 school year who has experience with our school. So again, that's Mrs. Wilson, and her preparing during the spring and the summer with Mrs. Ford also helped that she has her math endorsement. We believe her familiarity, Mrs. Wilson and Mrs. Ford, obviously, with our educational assistants, the current elementary teachers, and many of our students will pay dividends for us. And she definitely had a structure coming into this year. I'm sidebarring here a little bit, but having her on board and working her way up through that class those classes that she took and being in that role, I think has really paid off well. And so right now we went to the Caravan on Friday for the new math curriculum that we have to look at for next year, and then we'll come to you with those recommendations once we get them. So, sorry, it's so boring. SI implementation includes ongoing engagement with all students, focal students, families, staff, and community partners. How we how have relationships with or between these groups changed or have been maintained throughout this academic year. So again, we originally did the survey stuff a few years ago when it was the beginning before the SIA period, so about 2 years ago. And then how has that continued? So it just said we value the input from all stakeholders, worked a lot with our community over the past few years. Even during the time of shutdowns and uncertainty, we have pretty good response through surveys and connecting with specific groups at various school events like we did last year at the music performance. We had surveys that went out during that. Meetings, et cetera. We will continue to work with our stakeholders to make sure we receive input and continue ongoing dialogue about the needs of all students that we serve. And then number 4 is you think about what guided your choices and prioritization efforts in this year of SIA implementation, what stands out, and how will what you've learned this year impact future SIA implementation efforts. Just so we have utilized our funding from SIA to improve educational opportunities and outcomes for our students with all ability levels, reducing class size, improving math, and creating a better space to meet the need to increase course offerings geared towards interests and careers were important to our students, our parents, students, and staff. Our future SIA endeavors will continue to focus on student-centered programs to enrich learning for learners of all levels. There you go. Now I can say we did it.
What is focal students mean?
So there's certain focus groups that their focal students would be, so they may have some that socioeconomic wise, or so we may reach out specifically to those families to say, okay, what may reduce some barriers for you? Or if you have ELL students, same type of situation. As you know, our state's definitely big on equity and making sure we try to level that playing field. But at the same time, that's why we try to put in there learners of all levels, because again, we want stuff to positively impact all of our students. And if we're doing it right with this group of students, then we're going to hopefully impact all of those students with the same type of strategies. That's the goal. Yeah, no problem. Karen, did you have anything to add there?
Nope, sounds good.
Thank you on that. I appreciate you listening.
Okay.
Make sure you put that in the minutes.
Yeah, move to D, new hires.
Sorry. So with our new hires, so Jeanette IAs, Naomi Cruikshank has worked with us for a few years now. She used to also volunteer, during the school day or took a class working with kids with our younger kid program, the preschool at that time. She worked a lot with the preschool. She was an aide in that class period each day for a year as well. And then she also worked our summer program a couple years ago when we did that and was one of the instructional assistants there. And then the county provided that extra kindergarten time last year. And as a student at Western Oregon, the ED program, she also worked with our students during that time. So she has quite a bit of experience working with our students and working with students, wants to be a teacher eventually. And so this was a really good opportunity. She has a lot of classes online right now. So this allowed her to do 3 of the 4 days, but we couldn't have her for all 4 days just because we understand she's working towards getting her degree in education. So Wyatt has been volunteering as a coach here and volunteering in the classroom. And he was able to do the additional 1 day. And Mrs. Henry and Mrs. Ford, we did some interviews and went out for a second round of interviews and felt like this 3 day and 1 day combination could work. As far as their benefits, obviously it'd be 3/4 and 1/4 then. So that's how it was impacted the budget. It didn't have any increased impact on the budget. And then our SPED IAs, Lauren Wallace comes to us, as you saw in the packet, comes to us from Dallas. And you want to go ahead and speak to her? You're the one who interviewed, so you know better.
Sure. She volunteered quite a bit in the self-contained classroom in the high school there. And her previous experience with kids is matching them with tutors on their specific IEP goals. And Frances is coming to us from Amity. She is a Perry Dale graduate, and she's been in the elementary in Amity for the last year. And she's done a lot of work with transition age kids, people. So
As they go into the workforce after they're out of high school.
Yeah.
She did some of that as well.
that's kind of where her passion is, which is perfect because that's an area that we're actively working on. So
Any questions?
No, I think it's fabulous.
Great.
I'm happy you're able to get some new hires.
So are we. So is Aaron.
yeah.
Let's move to item E, resignations.
So Coach Evans, as you folks know, has experienced some difficult times. He's had cancer for the last few months that he knew about. And Coach Evans put a lot of time in our program, and I appreciate everything he's done. And I know a couple of you are pretty close to him. And anyway, just trying to be there to support him. He's wants to help out, but he can't do the head coach role right now. Just not in the cards for him, but I know he wants to be as involved in the program as possible with his health. And that spot's always open for him. As much as he can help out, we'd love to have him. But as you saw in there, there were some identifying items that were in there that when he gave us his resignation, I let so he wasn't able to do it. But we had reached out asking for one maybe that didn't have as much identifying items, but he wasn't able to get it to us in time for this report. So we just wanted to make sure we had that on there. And then Rachel Willingham was a track assistant coach, developed this last year, but with her new job, she recently got a job. She wasn't able to help out. So both those jobs will be open. We'll make sure we have those posted, and we'll put it on Indeed and put it on the website and push it out with Facebook. Trying to get some people interested, but it's going to be hard to have Coach Evans. Mr. G and I talked even this morning about track again and ways that will support our student athletes. For example, pole vault, for example, there's a gentleman up in the Portland area who helps out with athletes with that. And so, if we need to take our athletes up there to do the pole vault training, we'll go ahead and do that. And then even if that costs some additional funds, we'll make sure that we have those opportunities still for our kids, because track is a very unique sport as far as the number of sports you have to kind of master and know about. And so, we'll just make sure our kids have every opportunity we can give them to make sure that they're able to do the specific events that they're looking to do, et cetera. So thank you to both, but really special thanks to Coach Evans. Appreciate it.
I know he meant a lot to our family. He said a very special thing for Trey before he enlisted and left in the Navy. So it's been pretty important in our family too.
Got a good heart on him.
Absolutely.
He's always there taking pictures.
Yes.
Anybody needs a senior photo or anything like that, he's always there to help out. So I told him now that he's not doing track, he can do more senior photos.
Good idea.
So
Okay. Move to number 5, consent agenda.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second. Moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Items for board action. Number 6. I have a statement I ran by our legal that I want to just read about completing the superintendent's review that we did a week ago. It says the board has completed Superintendent Dugan's review for 2022-23. We want to thank him for his leadership during a more difficult time with so many changes in facilities. We look forward to continued collaboration in the coming year, and we thank him for his dedication and hard work to our families and students. So thank you, Mr. Dugan, for job well done.
appreciate it.
And I'll get you a copy of that so you can put it in the minutes. Okay.
I move that we approve the superintendent evaluation and review.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion?
Thank you, Dan. We appreciate it.
I appreciate the relationship I have with you folks. So thank you.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, passes unanimously. All right, number 7, patron input, and there's nobody here. Number 8, board comments. So I'm still talking. Okay, so to number 9, announcements, dates of importance. So it sounds like we've got our first meeting for certified negotiations February 1st. And that's it. 4/20. 4/20.
420.
Okay.
I died laughing.
That's fine.
Who said that?
You won't forget that time.
I'm pretty sure our teacher said it.
Okay, all right, cool.
I would like to say for the record that their contract is over at 4:15 each day, so 5 minutes to use the restroom, and that's why.
Oh, okay, good. Thanks for the clarification. Thank you.
You betcha.
February 21st, work session at 6:30, followed by the board meeting at 7. Was there some adjustment we were talking about?
The March meeting, if we could go from the 20th to the 13th,
March meeting.
March.
Yes, I have it in here already. I thought we would do that.
Well, we talked last week.
I think we talked about it
Oh,
last
okay,
week,
oh,
yeah.
okay. So March 13th, any opposed to that or?
We're talking about moving it from the 20th to the 13th.
Correct. That is the day before Pi Day. I feel like we should celebrate.
We can celebrate that.
Um,
The stuff I do great.
I was gonna say, if only there were pies in there, yeah. I've got one, sorry, I have one question. I just can't remember. It's who's doing the negotiations? It's Jenny and, oh, Trina. Okay.
Let me to a question.
There was something I wanted to ask.
I cannot recall. I should write things down.
Is there any special, anything that we have to do before we have the meeting? Maybe they do. 'Cause,
Typically at the first meeting, we'll discuss like ground rules and set the dates.
okay,
And so then
so we don't have to, it doesn't need to be like a public. Or is it a public meeting?
they're always public meetings.
Always a public meeting.
Are you meeting here in this room?
We'll meet it somewhere at the school.
It probably will be Tabitha's room. It could be here, but I think Tabitha's room's a little bit
It is open to the public.
easier with the table set up and these desks.
We've
are
always had
used.
them open. Sometimes
only way
all the
we-
staff are there.
Only way would it be closed if both parties agreed for it to be closed. If they don't agree, or if it doesn't come up, then yeah, they're public.
Yes.
And that's what we talked about at the ground.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you might want to get a copy of the ground rules from the last, I mean, we started out I can give you the ones.
I can give you the
Yeah,
ones
just
for
like
the last.
Probably the same. Yeah.
I'll send you those. Yeah, sound good?
And we can't have more board members there. That becomes a public meeting unless you're silent, so.
No, we can have, it is a public meeting. It is always posted. And you guys can come and watch. You're just not allowed to.
talk. Yes. And that will probably be part of your.
I have a
It will be.
meeting the 24th with Yamhill County Soups. Would you like me to start getting some data of our local areas?
Oh, yeah.
For,
That would be great.
we'll go ahead and do that one.
Any other dates? For the next meeting?
This year, state convention is a little bit different. Oftentimes, it's the first Thursday before like a spring break. This year, it's the week before spring break, so it actually is around St. Patrick's Day, and then we have school the next week, and then we have spring break. So that is a little bit different for students that are involved with that. Somebody else had the fairgrounds. It sounds like I don't know why exactly. I just heard that that's the way it was done. So
So it's the weekend of St. Patrick's Day then?
that's what. Yeah, that's what it was.
Anything else?
Ag Week is a little bit different. Too, the local district FFA people decided to have their meetings on Wednesday and Thursday. So Ag Olympics is on Wednesday that week, or Tuesday that week. So and the animal day is Monday. So if you have some animals that may be coming or tractors or whatever, students will probably be doing that just Monday, Tuesday.
Leaving a chicken.
We may. Get in touch with McKenna.
My
All right.
mom is love to socialize.
Okay, so then we will adjourn at 7:54.
Oh, it's getting pretty good.
Not good enough.
I know.
There was only like 4 things on his agenda.
Just wait until like the bond project's done. I mean,
Gina, did you want to go over there? You good?
I'm really good.
Okay.
I've
I figured as much.
I've been visiting.
Yeah. Kyle?